The story that you are about to hear is a product of my mind. It may be a start of a great series, or it may be the only one. That depends on how well received it is. Though confidently, I am already working on the part 2. I know you can see me. Through the years, variation of this phrase has been spoken to me by the departed. My name is Josephine Julianne Guinevere Ortega, but call me Jules or else. And I cannot just see ghosts, I can also speak to them. No, I'm not crazy. Don't roll your eyes at me. This may be the only true fact I will share with you about myself. Maybe once we become friends, then I will tell you more. A quick background story about myself. I am a foster kid, which means my real family may be dead or they didn't want me. All I can remember is that I have been bouncing from one family to another like some defective toy. Do I sound bitter? No, not really. This is my reality and I have come to accept it. But I digress. Let me go back to my story. I have always been able to see and hear them. I just didn't realize that this was a unique talent. Good thing I never let on to anyone that I was different. As a foster kid, I guess, you build this wall around you and not really put yourself out there. Plus, I was shy too. Hard to believe, huh? Did I tell you I have a mild ADHD? You probably figured this part already since I tend to talk about different things and cannot focus on one thing. Give me a second and let me take my meds so that I can focus. Okay, where was I? Oh yeah, the first time a ghost figured out that I can see and talk to them. It was a dark and stormy night. Too cliched? I swear I took my meds. It will kick in a few more minutes, but I'm telling you the truth about that first part. I guess our foster mom forgot to pay the power bill and the electricity got cut off again. I have been with this foster family for almost a week, and compared to the other families I have gone to, this was more manageable. I have been to so many foster homes that I can't even give you the names of the foster parents that I have been with. Some pretended to care, some really didn't, but the bottom line was the money they received from the state for taking care of foster kids. This place was different though. Our foster mom made it clear that she will make sure that we have a roof over our heads and a decent meal. As long as we didn't get in trouble, she has no problem leaving us alone to fend for ourselves. For me, this was a sweet deal. I swear it wasn't that bad. The other kids in the house were also decent kids. Everyone seemed to watch out for each other. There were 5 kids total there, and I was the newest member. One of the guys there, Peter, was the first kid I became close to. Most likely because we were close in age and he stubbornly sat next to me without saying anything most of the time, which suited me fine because I love to talk about anything and everything except about me. Well, remember how I told you I can see and talk to ghosts? Well, it wasn't obvious to Peter at first. The house we lived in was actually a couple of blocks away from the cemetery. Unfortunately, we had to pass by the cemetery on the way to places worth going to. But like I said, I'm used to seeing ghosts, so the stray ghosts inside the cemetery didn't really faze me. On the 3rd day at the foster house, foster mom asked us to grab a couple of gallons of milk and some lunch meats from the corner store a block or so away from the cemetery. And Peter and I got volunteered to get it. On the way there, I felt a bit uneasy. I didn't know that a week ago a fatal accident occurred. I learned that there was a car full of teens that were drunk and were joyriding. They were driving 60 miles per hour in a 35 mile per hour road. Well, let's just say that car met a big tree and out of the 4 people, 1 died. I did say it was fatal. While we were passing by that area, I saw this girl sitting by the sidewalk crying. To me, ghosts look the same until they look at you, because their appearance show you what they look like after they died. So I guess, when the girl heard us pass by, she looked up and I was so shocked at how she looked that I involuntarily moved closer to Peter. I mean, if you saw what I saw, you would have done the same thing. I guess she wasn't wearing a seatbelt during the impact and now she was missing her jaw. Blood was falling. I mean, If you saw what I saw, you would have done the same. I guess she wasn't wearing a seatbelt during the impact, and now she was missing her jaw. Blood was flowing from her forehead. I think if you look closely, you could see some brain matter spilling out. Don't quote me on that last part though. There was no way I was going to get close enough to confirm. Peter shook me a bit to get my attention. I guess he got worried about me. He told me later that all color left my face and I was kind of staring into space. As soon as I realized I was staring, I just told him that I thought we forgot the money we were going to pay for the stuff we were buying. He looked at me strangely, shrugged, and thankfully let it go. We went and got what we needed from the grocery store, and I made sure that we were on the other side of the street when we walked back. The girl was just sitting there. I don't think she noticed that I could see her. When we got back to the foster home, Peter took me aside and said we needed to talk. He told me he knew there was more to the story of what happened earlier and he just wanted to help. I made him swear up and down that what I was going to tell him was just between the two of us. And I did tell him everything. I know he didn't believe me, but he just nodded and we left it at that. We did go back to that sidewalk after a few days, and I told the girl that she was dead so that she could move on. I never saw her again after that. So what made Peter believe in my abilities? Well, funny you should ask. Like I said earlier, it was a dark and stormy night. Ironically, it happened that same night. We were all in the living room. Me and Peter were playing checkers, the rest of the kids were playing Monopoly on the floor, and foster mom's bio kid was visiting with her toddler. Foster mom was in the bathroom soaking in the tub, which was code that meant enjoying her wine in peace. When all of a sudden, the power went off. We went to the kitchen and lit some candles. You can tell this has happened before, and went back to whatever we were doing. But then rain started, the night sky lit up with lightning, and of course thunder followed. Bio kid's toddler got scared and started to cry. Out of nowhere, I saw foster mom standing behind another foster kid and started to call her grandkid to her so she can calm him down. But instead, grandkid started wailing louder. I would have ignored the scene, but she was getting louder, and the louder she got, the more grandkid cried. I couldn't stand the noise anymore, so I joined in the noise and said, "Hey baby, go to Mimo." Foster mom turned towards me, and that's when I saw she was dripping wet, and there was a huge lump on her forehead. I realized I made a huge mistake. She was coming towards me, and I can see her lips moving. It was slow at first. I tried to avert my gaze and pretended to be engrossed in the checkers. All of a sudden, Bio Kid said, "Where's Mom?" And silence greeted her declaration. With that silence, we all heard the water overflowing from the tub. Bio Kid started pounding on the door of the bathroom. "Mom? Mom!" When no one answered from the inside, one of the huskier older foster kid asked if she wanted him to break down the door. This wasn't the first time foster mom passed out from being drunk. And maybe I am projecting, but I think they felt like something was wrong. Peter was just looking at me fascinated, and foster mom tried switching places to get me to acknowledge her presence. When they got the door open, they rushed in and saw that foster mom's body was floating on the tub. No amount of CPR helped her. Someone called 911. And me? I had closed my eyes because as soon as her body was discovered, foster mom's face got closer to mine. I couldn't take it anymore. I placed my face on my hands and hid there. I kept murmuring, "No, no, 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 no." I looked up and that's when foster mom shoved her face closer to my ear and said, "I know you can see me." I ran from the room to the kitchen and foster mom followed me there yelling, "I know you can see me!" I had my hands around my ears and closed my eyes, and all of a sudden, wham! Then blessed silence. Apparently, I passed out. According to Peter, he followed me to the kitchen and he said he saw me standing there with my hands around my ears, and then my face hit the countertop, knocking me out cold. I told him I'd tell him all about what happened later on. The paramedics were coming, and I'd rather they focused on foster mom and not me. I was feeling fine. I just needed an aspirin and maybe an ice pack. Actually, cops and paramedics came. They got our statements and concluded that it was an accidental drowning. It looked like she was drunk while she was in the tub. When the power went out, maybe she got up and didn't realize that her soap was on the floor and she slipped on it, hitting her forehead, knocking her unconscious and slipping back in the water face first, which caused her to drown. It was an unfortunate accident. BioKid assured Child Services that everything would be okay and that foster kids won't have to be displaced. And because it was already late, they said we all should get some rest and someone will come by tomorrow and discuss our features. BioKid assured all of us that if it was possible, they will take over the care for us, so that we can all stick together. Oh, and her name is Amy. Peter wouldn't leave my side that night. He finally believed me. And now the cat's out of the bag. I've noticed more shadows in the room. I really hope it's just shadows from the candles. I have never been so glad to have someone else in the room with me. I mean one that's physically there and not corporeal. He said that I should test my abilities. He suggested we go back to that girl in the sidewalk, and you know what happened to that. Peter convinced me not to hide from ghosts. Not seek them out either, but help out when I can. I guess this is the beginning of Jules and Peter's adventures. I get top billing since I'm the one sharing the story with you. Thank you. Hey everyone! I just wanted to express how grateful I am that you took the time to listen to my narration. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I am Twisted Mind and please enjoy the rest of your day. Salamat! Shoutout nga pala kina Incognito Stories, Tiktilaok Stories, Eriza Miguel, Dreamworks Stories, Fright Night PH, Ben Jose, Sandatang Pinoy Horror Stories, Roger Roach TV, Abigail Sophia, Lennox Greenaway, Malik Mata, Aubrey Delgado, Dark Hub PH, Pagkasagrado, Philippine Horror Stories ni Kuya Knox, Pinoy Midnight Stories, Anonymous Recounter, Tales from Creepinoy, Pinoy HC, Katakot Stories, and Pinoy Horror Encounters. Thank you po!